Now that we have installed our database and I have the information that I need to access it in my notepad, you could have also written it down on a piece of paper, I'm ready to download WordPress and install it. Attached to this assignment, at the very top you'll see that there is a zip file, WordPress 4.9.8. This is the latest at the time of the recording. You can right click and save this link as and put it somewhere where you can find it, or you can visit the wordpress.org/download link. I'll click on that. It'll take us to wordpress.org eventually. First we have to deal with the eCampus link. Click on that. Although there's another website called wordpress.com where you can set up your own blog, we'll be using wordpress.org. This is the open source where we get the full coding for WordPress. So here's download WordPress 4.98. This button, click on that. It will recognize if you're on a PC or on a Mac. It's actually the same file. So I'll just tell it to save it. And I'll choose my desktop, and it should put it somewhere on the side where I can see it. Click Save. I can exit out of this tab and go back to my eCampus page. This is a small file. It's less than 10 megs, so it downloaded fairly quick. If you are on a Mac, you can double click on this archive. It will open up. If you're on Windows like I am here, right click, tell it to extract all, and just pick the same place where you put it as long as you can find it. I'll click on extract. There's a lot of files that are attached to this. It's only 26 megs. Once again, not a very large file, but given the number, it's going to take a little while, so I'm going to pause this video and come back when it's done. So that took about a minute, and once it finished, a new window opened and I can see the WordPress folder inside of the folder that it created, the WordPress 4.9.8. This WordPress folder inside, you should also see it in your Mac or whatever system you're on. I'm going to rename the file. I can either click on it a couple of times and not double click to open it, but rather just click and then wait a second, click again until it's blue, it's highlighted, and I'm going to change the name to just WP. If I open up WP, you'll see that there's all this PHP coding. This is what the program runs on, PHP scripts. And we're going to get all of this on up to our web page. By now you should have installed an FTP client. I'll be using the CyberDuck. If you have FileZilla, you can do this. You can use it to do the same thing. I just recently installed it, so I'm going to click on my Start menu and tell it to look for CyberDuck. There it is. I'll run it. And since I hadn't done it before in this computer, I'll pin it to my taskbar so that I don't have to look for it again. It's telling me that the certificate is not valid. It remembers me logging in. So I'll just tell it to show me the certificate and click OK and just tell it to always trust and continue. Now I'm inside the site. I only have an index.html in my CGI bin folder here. What needs to happen next is that inside of this WordPress, where I have WP, I need to move this folder onto the main folder of the site. So that's where I am right now. If you are clicking on this for the first time, this is the public HTML folder right off the root. That's the one that you should have set up when we downloaded and installed the FTP client. Next, I'm going to then click and hold the WP folder and drag it onto the FTP client and let it upload. And once again, this is 26 megs. It's not a lot, but it's going across a couple of firewalls and from my home or my office to another place that I'm not really sure where it is. I think it may be Minnesota. That being the case, it's going to take at least 5 minutes, and rather than yapping the whole time, I'm going to pause and come back when it's done. I received an error while uploading, but I'm unpausing the video so you can see the error that I got. Login authentication. It's just there's so many files that it's connecting and disconnecting continuously, and basically what it wants me to do right now is to log in again. It's giving me a couple of errors. I'm just going to tell it to continue and log in again. Click on this button and tell it to continue always. And now the transfer is complete. I'll go back into the FTP client and tell it to refresh it. I now have a WP folder. If I tell it to show me the files inside, there's index.php, very important. This is the home page for your WordPress, and then there's a few folders that have the scripts that make WordPress run. Now that this is done, I can close the FTP client. I can close my folders on my desktop, and I can then also go and click on a new tab and go to my server address. Mine is my username, frodriguez.weareidt.com. If I press enter and go here, this will just give me the sample HTML file that we uploaded. However, if I go to the end of the URL, give it a slash, and then type in the folder that we just created, WP, and press enter, it's going to forward me to the WP admin setup page. Waiting for it to load. And once it does, we can actually start to set this thing up. So just to get this thing moving, I'm going to reload the page. See if I have any. Okay, so here is my WordPress installation. I get my choice of languages. I will do it in English, United States, and continue. So it gives you a welcome. Before getting started, we need some information on the database. We need the database name, the database username, the database password, and the host, also the prefix. So this is the information that we've written down. I'm going to just click on Let's Go. The database name is the one that I have written down here for me. It's the first 8 letters of my username plus WPAT. Going to copy this and paste it onto the database name. The username is the one that I selected, frodriguez_user. Copy that, paste it, and then here it's my very weak password. That was password 1. By the time that you see this video, all this information should have been changed. The database host remains as localhost. This is a Linux system that we're using. And the table prefix, we'll just leave it at WP and hit submit. Now we get the famous "Alright Sparky, you've made it through this part of the installation. WordPress can now communicate with your database, and now it's time to run the installation." Basically, all of the software is now within the server, and it's running as a program that you can access. Site title, that's going to be totally up to you. I'm going to use a very generic title. I'll just call it Francisco's WordPress site. The good news is that you can call it anything you want, and you can always come back and change the name. Username, something that maybe you're familiar with that you can use. Don't use admin, because that's the one that's going to get you hacked. I'll use frodriguez, just it's simple. Once again, I can always come back and change that information. There is a password that does suggest a very strong password. It's nothing like password 1, but I'll copy this and put it in with my files and keep it. I'll paste it here. Email, this is important that you give it a valid email, because if there's any issues with your installation, if anything goes wrong, if you forget your very strong password, you'll be able to change it, but only if it knows where you can be accessed and it knows that it's you. So I'll use my El Centro College email, frodriguez, fi blah 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 at this, and discourage search engines from indexing this site. And this is a good idea because your passwords will be unprotected for a few days, and while we won't have anything of value in these installations, when you're using WordPress to build your own sites, you definitely don't want Google, Bing, etc. snooping into your installation files. So now I have a name for a title for the site, I have a username, and I have a strong password that I've saved, and I'm ready to install it. And it does that on its own. I'll tell it to remember that so that I don't have to go back and write it. And success, WordPress has been installed. The information that you know now is that the username is whatever you chose, and the password is the one that either it picked for you or you told it to give. So I'll log in. My username is Rodriguez, and the password, I'm guessing it's remembering, but it's this one that I have. I'll tell it to remember me for the next time. I'll log in, and I am now in the dashboard for WordPress. So the installation has been successful. I have access to all my tools. I can now begin to publish things into my WordPress blog. This you may want to save, and I'll make it a point to maybe put this little bookmark here. It's here somewhere. There it is, dashboard, Francisco's website, etc. It's basically it's your web address, username.weareidt.com/wp. That's the folder where we put it in. WP admin is the folder where the dashboard lives, and this is where we'll be coming back to add content, to edit content, to remove content, and to do all kinds of cool stuff, adding media, music, videos, etc. If you want to see what your blog looks like now, I'm going to open up a new tab, and once again go to my site and then add WP. This is the official address for my site, and yours will be the same concept, your username.weareidt.com/WP. You may have also used a different name rather than WP. Maybe you kept WordPress, so keep that in mind so that you can find it. When I go in there, it assumed a couple of things, that I wanted to use the default theme, which is the 2018 theme. I still don't have a sub name for my WordPress site, although it knows that my name is this. I have a control panel on top because I'm logged into WordPress. If I scroll down, I see one sample post. Hello world, welcome to WordPress. Some comments, categories, etc. We'll be able to come back and change all of this posts, add new ones, and create new pages, and just get on with the course. So I'll see you on the next tutorial when we'll be making our first post.